This video is on light communication. Light communication because light is the fastest form of communication. Okay. And of course, the very well common known way to establish a pattern that someone else can recognize is to use prime numbers. In light communication, it can go out in lots of different directions. What it is this has to do with explosions above the Earth to signal if there is anybody out there watching, to establish a pattern of light communication that someone else way out in the universe, wherever they're at, if they're looking anywhere in our direction, hopefully they'd be able to see it. 7 numbers, nice round number. 7 numbers was determined to be enough to establish a good enough pattern. And of course the first 7 primes, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and wait. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and what's the next one? 17? I believe that's the next one. So that's enough. When you start getting past 17, that's a lot of things. That's a lot because what they do is they use explosions, a series of explosions. Like 5 would be 5 successive explosions, 1 minute apart. So 5 explosions over a 5-minute period. In between the 7 prime numbers that are used, at the end of the last explosion representing that particular number you're on, there'll be a 5-minute break between that and the next prime number. And this is repeated 52 times per year. It was done in 27 and determined that that would be enough done for a whole year because you have the Earth revolving around the Sun. So for a little over 2/3 of that year, from any direction out from the Earth, here's the Sun, and say right here at the end of my little pointer here is the Earth. From the time the Earth revolves around the Sun in your view right here, before it goes back, whoops, I should probably go this way. From the time the Earth is right here and revolves to the other side of the Sun and goes around it where you can't see it, and this direction would be the only time you wouldn't be able to see it, is about a little more than 2/3 of the year you would see these explosions, and the 52 times a year is once a week you would see a series of explosions. One explosion, 5 minutes later, an explosion, another minute later a second explosion to represent the number 2, 5 minutes later to represent the number 3. There would be 3 explosions, each 1 minute apart, and after the last explosion, a 5-minute interval of no light, no explosion. Then 5 explosions, each 1 minute apart, and then a 5-minute break, and then 7, then 11, 13, and 17. Okay, so that's what you would be able to. There's pretty big explosions up above the Earth, outside the atmosphere, a little bit into space, a little bit into early part of the space, so that the light can travel out. And if somebody's watching, they're going to pick up that pattern. Not only do you have primes, but a set period of time between those primes, that somebody can see a pattern, and it denotes intelligence because it's planned. You can see that somebody planned this. It had to be, because the explosions are exactly 1 minute apart. If it's the number 7, they would see an explosion every minute for 7 minutes, and then a 5-minute break, and then they would see the 11 explosions, each 1 minute apart, and then a 5-minute break, and so on until they got to 17. And we're assuming that another intelligent race would recognize the primes. And the fact that it was set up in sequence and set up with the specific intervals and so on. Again, like I said, this was done in 2017. Or at least it will be. And that's where we're hoping that someone out there would pick it up. And maybe it's a way to kind of get noticed. Maybe. I never saw anybody from another species outside the Earth anyway, but even 200 years from now. But still, the light waves are out there, and they're going to be traveling for who knows how long before they finally dissipate enough that I don't know how far out they'll actually reach before somebody would not be able to recognize. I mean, you're talking thousands of light years out. Somebody should be able to zoom in on these. These are pretty big explosions that they're using, so they had to plan this. And the reason for 52 times a year was it took a week for them to set up the explosions for the next series of prime numbers. So once a week they did this. 52 times a year, they sent out these 7 prime numbers according to their intervals in 2070. As far as I know, we had yet to hear anything back, unless the world government was keeping it silent from us. But anyway, that's flight communication. That's what it's for.